been a concern that has now been raised by India when it comes to pro-Khalistan slogans that have been raised at an event that was attended by the Canadian Prime Minister. India thereafter has also summoned the Canadian Envoy. And this is coming at a time when even as the Prime Minister of Canada walked up to the stage for his address to mark Khalsa Day, there were chants of Khalistan Zindabad that kept getting louder. And there have been video footages as well that have been released. Meanwhile, the government of India has now registered its objection and deep concern. Let me go across to Rishabh now. Rishabh, this happened in the presence of the Canadian Prime Minister. India, meanwhile, has registered its protest.
Well, definitely, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and other leaders from both government and opposition were attending the Khalsa Day celebration in Ontario on Sunday evening. That's when these slogans were raised. And the video footage clearly shows that as soon as Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, take the dais, these slogans get louder, and the sloganers were greeted with a smile from the Prime Minister as well. India yesterday took a very clear stand. It summoned the Deputy High Commissioner of Canada, who is here in New Delhi, and registered a strong protest, very categorically saying that this illustrates the political space that has been given by the Canadian government to anti-India activities. Apart from that, really the statement from MEA goes on to say that such activities are not even good for Canada. It's detrimental for the population in Canada as well. So India very clear that whatever is happening in Canada is not acceptable. Once again, India sends the loud and clear message.
All right, let me go across to Ankit as well. Ankit, the objection and protest that has been registered by India, if you can take us through the details of the statement, please.
Absolutely, Amita. India says India strongly protests Khalistan slogans at a public event attended by Canadian leaders. The Canadian Deputy High Commissioner was today summoned to the Ministry of External Affairs with regard to the raising of separatist slogans on Khalistan at an event which was being personally attended by the Prime Minister of Canada. The Government of India's deep concern and strong protest was conveyed at such disturbing actions being allowed to continue unchecked at the event. This illustrates once again the political space that has been given in Canada to separatism, extremism and violence. Their continued expressions not only impact India-Canadian relations but also encourage a climate of violence and criminality in Canada to the detriment of its own citizens. So the MEA showing Justin Trudeau the mirror.
All right. Thank you for that, Ankit. Rishabh, as far as India raising the protest is concerned, but in other likelihoods, what may happen? As far as we have seen the tensions that has been growing between India and Canada, especially when it comes to the Khalistan issue.
Well, definitely. If we talk about India and the way India has been communicating to Canada, it is very clear. India is very clear that the Khalistan movement, or the way you call it, the freedom of expression in Canada, these expression comes with some responsibility. And what is happening in Canada, the way Indian origin people are being threatened by these thugs in various parts of Canada,
right,
it showcases that how and how strongly they have a patronage from the ruling government, and that is something that India has been protesting against.
Right.
India, very clear word, has called it a safe haven for terrorism. And
well, India has registered its strong protest, and that has been conveyed at what Indian statement goes on to say that at such disturbing actions that are being allowed to continue unchecked at an event in which the Canadian Prime Minister himself was present. You're watching the Morning News Hub. We will be back after a short break.